Good evening. Once again, this is Ernest Gaines talking about the book Three W's. I want to start tonight by reading the insert again from the book, and then I want to talk a little bit about it, and I want to trying to bring this to some type of conclusion to where I want to go and what I want to try to accomplish and do next. Here we go. One day, my father told me that two men couldn't live in the same house and that he wasn't leaving. I had about $3,200 in the bank. He paid $1,500 for my motorcycle. After the man took my motorcycle, I went to the bank and found out that he had taken it all out of the bank about 2 months earlier and had closed the account. I was mad. I asked him what had happened to my money, but again he said two men couldn't live in the same house and he wasn't leaving. He said I better get my attitude together. I never saw any of my money I had worked so hard for. It seemed that he wanted me around only for the money I was earning when I was running. When I would come home after working all night, they always would ask me how much I had earned. At first, I wouldn't tell them, and then I started to tell them after a moment. But one of the time, TT paid me my aunt $65 or $70 when I was working at the bar that she was working at. And he asked me for it, and I gave it to him, and he gave me $20 back. And then she asked my mother for $30 for something I can't remember. I told her to ask Daddy to give it to her out of my money. And she said, boy, he don't spend that money. I bet you'll never see it again. I said, but that was my money. When he came home from work, I asked him to give Mama $30 of my money. And he asked, what money? I told him that you had $210 of my money. And he said, boy, you better go outside and play. He told me to go outside and play, and I started to cry. I wonder why he was treating me like that. It's just how it's supposed to be. I wasn't sure how it was supposed to be, but I did know for one thing for sure that I was always respectable. I guess I was mad and upset, but at the same time, he was my father, and I tried my best to grant his wishes. He said that I had to leave, get my attitude together, so I chose to leave. I left, and I went and stayed across the street with my aunt. But still, I was close to be there with my family, with my mother and my siblings. I was 13, 14 when that happened, but I ended up going back home when my aunt in Texas passed away and her kids come to live with TT. And so I gave my room up and went back across the street and lived with them. But then less than a year later, I was told the same thing, to leave. Two men could not live in the same house. I can't exactly remember what had happened, but I knew for some reason or another that we had a disagreement. At this time, I was blessed to leave and never return. But we never know why we do things, how it's actually going to turn out. But one thing that I have come to be very fond of and very hopeful and helpful, and I hope that it will help you also, to know that we have a God that can do all things, even when we don't know what exactly happening, how it's happened, when it's going to happen, who it's going to happen with. I want to recall scripture from Hebrews when he said that I would never leave you nor forsake you. Now, that doesn't mean that trouble won't come our way, but he said that he would always be with us. I want to read this scripture for you from the Message Bible. The reason why I chose the Message Bible because I like the way that they puts it. It kind of makes it seem like just common language. So here we go. It says, don't be obsessed with getting more material things. Be relaxed with what you have. Since God assures us, I'll never let you down, never walk off, and never leave you. We can quote this boldly. It says, God is there, ready to help. I am fearless, no matter what or who or what can get to me. I believe that my life that started back then have that security that I hope that you would get, knowing that if things are not going your way, that if you can just let God work in you, not knowing even how to pray at that particular time. I never knew no more than what I think I remembered in Sunday school as a little boy, but I always heard my mother pray. I always heard my grandmother pray. I always heard the people in the plantation on the quarter always praying. So with that being said, I knew it was something there about why that everything that went on and it wasn't going the way that we planned, the way that we hoped to or hoped to be, that they always said that God will take care of it. So with that being said, I want you to know that God will take care of it. I also want to share another passage with you from the Hebrew, from Jeremiah. But I also want to use the Message Bible, the Message speaking. And it comes from Jeremiah chapter 1. Now, I'm not a prophet. I don't think I am, but I do know that God has worked some miracles in me from what others has told me. And this book that I'm writing, the story that I have wrote, is not for me, but it's for me to help others, to let them know that they're not alone. So whatever that may be going on in your life, don't think that you're the only one that has trouble. Don't think you're the only one that don't have things that's not going perfect or going the way we plan. But remember that we all have a purpose. But what is our purpose? Or when we walk into our purpose? Or when we choose to find our purpose? But I believe if you just stay still and just trying to do what is right, trust God or trust the people that's around you that's positive. You never know which one of those are actually your angel that God is using. So let's look at Jeremiah chapter 1, and I'm going to start at the 4th verse. And it says from the Message Bible, it says, before I shaped you in the womb, I knew all about you. Before you saw the light of day, I had holy plans for you. A prophet to the nation. That's what I had in mind for you. But I said, hold it, master. God, look at me. I don't know anything. I'm only a boy. And that's where I was. I was only a boy. Remember, this was 13, 14 years old. At 15 years old, I left the house. So I was only a boy. But it says again in verse 7, God told me, don't say I'm only a boy. I tell you where to go and you'll go there. I tell you what to say and you will say it. Don't be afraid of a soul. I'll be right there looking after you. God decree. And in 9, he says, God, reach out, touch my mouth, and said, look, I just put my words in you, in your mouth. Hand delivered. So what I have done, I was giving you a job to do. Among nation and generation, I read letter, I read letter day. Your job is to pull up and tear down, take apart and demolish, and then start over, building and planting. He told Jeremiah to do this. And I really believe that God is using me to share these things with you. And I pray that just as he has helped me, that this story will help you. Finally, I want you to know that this boy that I have been talking about for the last several weeks, I am that boy who has become a man. I am Ernest Gaines. I am the boy of a plantation in Louisiana. I am the one that has been through the things that you may have, but whatever I have been through, there's nothing that has stopped me from achieving the things that I have. God keep us all here for a reason and a purpose. I should not be here. I should not even be speaking to you. I should not have even made it to past age 25 because of the things that happened in my life. At 17 years old, I had a guy to unload a gun after me, busting windows after windows in the parking lot of an apartment as I run from car to car, and he kept shooting, but he kept missing. I'm able to talk to you now. I was working in the finance department at a bank. One night, a guy put a gun to my ear, but it jammed. I was riding down the street once and living in Louisiana. Happened to be going down a dark road with my aunt late at night. The car in front of us had bright lights on. The next thing we knew, there was a big black cow in front of us. The next thing we knew when she said duck is that the cow legs was inside the windshield. Engine dropped to the ground, cow leg is laying up in the car over our shoulders till we could not lift ourselves out of the car. But God saved us from those things. And I believe that God saved me for a reason and a purpose. No, I don't call myself a prophet, but I do want to do what I feel that God has called me to do. And that's to share my story, to share my life, because I do not believe that none of this would have been possible for me to be before you now if it was not for the God that loves me. And with the same God that loved me, he also loved you. So I ask you to ask yourself that you would choose to seek him, the one that said that I would never forsake you or leave you. And he said, I already had a plan for you even before you saw light. While you were still in your mother womb, he saved you for a purpose. And we all have a purpose. I want to continue this story, but I'm going to ask you a favor. If you have not had this book, bought this book, I want you to see it is called, it's kind of foggy here, but it's called Three W's. It calls 3W. And I want you to be able to purchase this book and we would be able to talk about it more. Leave comments on this page. Also share it on your social media page. But 3W is a book that all I wants to accomplish is to help you to make the right choice. Yes, I shed a lot of tears, a lot of pain, but through those pains, today, I still have joy. There are several ways you can get this book. You can get this book on Amazon. You can get this book on um, at Barnes and Noble. You can get this book at Archway Publishing. But you also, if you want a signed copy, this is my email address. It's ERNEJE@AOL.com. Again, that's ERNEJE@AOL.com. You can send me an email or response to me. Send me $20 and I will mail you a copy. I need your address, name, and address, and I will autograph this book and get it back to you. But please get this book because I want you to know that there's something coming and there's something else coming that's going to help you to understand what I mean by this story of 3W. There's another book that I'm hoping to have out within the next 6 weeks, and it's going to be called 3W Ernest Becomes a Man at age 17. And I think that you will be delighted to what came out of me. But I also want you to know that you will not quite understand the next book, Ernest Becomes a Man, if you have not read 3W's, The Pain of Joy in Tears. So I need you to pick that book up and we will continue to talk. But spread the word, share this story, share this book on your social media page, and let's see if we can get things popping to it. We can start talking and hold a conversation. But I ask you to ask yourself, where am I today? And is this where I want to be? If it's not where you want to be, remember, whether or not if you are 10, 13, 14, 15, 30, or 60, it's never too late to change. Remember, the choice is yours. And the choice that you make is a choice that you have to live with. No one can change it but you. Because remember, the only one that you can control or change is yourself. Don't worry about what someone else think or say about you. You cannot change them, you cannot change what they think, but you do have control of yourself. Until then, this is Ernest Gaines. I hope that you enjoyed the story that we talked about tonight and the one we've talked about for the last few weeks. I want to say, take care, be blessed, and be safe. I love you, and God loves you also. And what He has done for me, He also will do it for you. Have faith and believe that He will. Until then, good night, peace. I love you. Be blessed.